Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is an episode of the evolution of the Epstein Chronicles. Today we go back to 2015 and an article from Newsweek. The headline of the article is, Jeffrey Epstein, the sex offender who mixes with princes and premiers. We're going to dive right into this article this afternoon. We're not going to waste any time with long monologues or any of that jazz. We're just going to dive right in. But first, if you would like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. Even by the standards of the British royal family, the case of Prince Andrew and the sex-trafficked girl is a peculiar one. An American woman named Virginia Roberts, now a married 31-year-old mother of three, has filed an affidavit in a Florida federal court in which she swears in gruesome detail that the late press baron and pension fiddler Robert Maxwell's daughter, Ghislaine, recruited her to satisfy the sexual needs of billionaire financier, pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein, and his friends. Those friends, according to Roberts, included the Duke of York, Handsy Andy, now the fifth in line to the throne, I think ninth now, and celebrity lawyer Alan the Crypt Keeper Dershowitz. Buckingham Palace have denied everything more than once. Dershowitz is suing. From 1999 onward, when she was just 15, Virginia spent much of her time on Epstein's Boeing 727, nicknamed the Lolita Express, on an unsavory kind of world tour that included, she says, an orgy with Andrew on Epstein's private island of Little St. James, or Little St. Jeff's, as it's become known, or Orgy Island, as we call it. One of the many extraordinary things about this sordid story that Jackie Collins would blush to create, aside from the fact that Andrew chose to refer to it all over the World Economic Forum in Davos, of all places, but then was unable to keep his cool when asked if he would be making a statement under oath, he walked out of the room without answering, is that Andrew would be friends with Jeffrey Epstein in the first place. Isn't that what I've been saying? Why would you be friends with this man in the first place? And that's interesting to know that in Davos he walked out when asked if he was going to make a statement under oath. I thought that he was willing to help. Boy, 4 years sure change everything, don't they? But then again, as both Bill Clinton and Stephen Hawking have been to Little St. James as part of Epstein's circle, he was hardly alone. Around Epstein, the question hovers, who exactly is this man who makes such powerful friends, and how does he do it? The 62-year-old registered sex offender comes from a gritty background in Brooklyn, with no university degree and no clear explanation for his many millions. As he mixes with princes and premiers and lives in multiple mansions, his web runs wide and deep in politics, science, academia, and business, as well as royalty. And while we've seen that, right, in the 4 years since this article has, 4 years since this article has been produced, we have seen all of the people involved, we have seen the scumbaggery, and we all know that every one of these people who denied it, I've never hung out with them, we're not friends, we know that the evidence proves that they did. We know that the evidence is there saying that you were friendly with this man. Just come out and admit it. With these people not admitting that they were even friends with him, it automatically casts a shadow of doubt on everything else they talk about. Some presidents and princes, having acquired a taste for the trappings of high office or monarchy, find it hard to resist the allure of the private jet. Oh, okay, so you got a private jet. Doesn't matter if you're a pedophile or you're diddling kids or anything. Hop on my private jet and all is forgiven, folks. We'll jet set around the world. We'll go take care of whatever your causes are. We'll fly to Africa, Asia, whatever you want, buddy. There were obviously other attractions for Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton. The private island in the Caribbean described by former staff as like a 5-star hotel where nobody paid, the pretty girls offering massages, quote unquote, the on-top chat about theoretical physics, but with his 600 flying hours a year to play with, usually with guests on board, Epstein had a lot of flight leverage, which is why, in this unseemly saga, just as Prince Andrew is being forced to issue what feel like daily denials about accusations of having sex with an underage girl at Mr. Epstein's many houses, eye-popping names surface in the Caribbean Sea. So for the last 5 years, he's been just hounded by these questions. And just finally, just after the second arrest, he steps back from public life. What did he know? What did Gillian Maxwell tell him? My assumption, here's my guess. Ghislaine told him that they were no longer being protected by the intelligence agencies. Once Prince Andrew found that out and knew that he was no longer going to get that protection as well as being a royal, he had to step back and try and get some of the attention off of himself. Stephen Hawking, attending a conference paid for by Epstein, was pictured at a barbecue on the island of Sin, as it has become known. With him in one picture were David Gross, an American physicist and Nobel laureate, and Harvard professor called Lisa Randall. Two other Nobel laureates, Gerard 't Hooft and Frank Wilczek, have visited too, as has Professor Lawrence Krauss, and on other occasions his great friend, scientist Martin Nowak, who moved from Princeton to Harvard and with whose research he was funded. Jeffrey Epstein funded just about all of this guy's research, all right? This Nowak guy. He gave him all sorts of dough to do whatever the hell he wanted. And the kicker, everybody knew what Epstein was. These scientists knew what he was. Epstein mixes with the elite of the science world because he was a calculus and physics teacher. Okay. Born and raised in Coney Island, he attended some classes in physics and mathematical physiology of the heart, though he never graduated from anywhere. When he taught at Dalton School, a private school in New York, between 73 and 75, part of the Epstein mythology goes, a parent was so impressed with his Dead Poets Society type enthusiasm, mathematical ability, and imagination that he suggested he move to Wall Street. Sorry, folks, I never bought that from the beginning. Okay? He was strategically placed there, and this is the cover story. So after a stint at Bear Stearns, he became a financial advisor to the extremely rich. It was said that only billionaires needed to apply. Though only one client, Les Wexner, owner of Victoria's Secret, was known by name. His friends would always insist he was incredibly clever and free-thinking, while others find him arrogant and awkward. And then others of us find him repugnant, disgusting, and gross. That would be where I'm at. Disgusting, gross, repugnant. Get rid of him. I'm glad he's dead. But not like that. I didn't want him to die before he answered questions, right? Within a matter of years, the schoolteacher turned tycoon was living the life of the American billionaire, with a villa in Palm Beach, a ranch in New Mexico, an apartment in Paris, as well as Little St. James and what looks like the largest private house in New York. Boy, what a rise to the sun, huh? What a rise up from obscurity. All on his own. No college degree, no degrees in physics, never worked on Wall Street, none of that. But all of a sudden, Jeffrey Epstein just shows up, and he's the man, huh? He's the one that's getting all these clients. He's the one that's getting all of these business deals. Why? There's no answer for why. He didn't have the track record that you would think that somebody who is cultivating these huge financial whizzes, he didn't have anything that would say, hey, come throw your money over here with me. Put your money with me and trust me to make money for you. There was nothing in his past that said that. Nothing. Last time I walked past it in the snow, the pavement was covered with ice everywhere apart from outside his house. The pavement is heated to make sure they never freeze over. But even amongst this extreme wealth and luxury, the financier, pedophile, in casual clothes, he never wears a suit, was never a high-profile socialite or keen on much interaction. Okay. Then Gillian Maxwell came into his life. Well, what do you know, huh? Ghislaine shows up, and all of a sudden Jeffrey Epstein has that access. She is just as guilty as Jeffrey Epstein, folks. Why she is still running around is just, I'll never know. Where Epstein might gravitate towards scientists, she served up Prince Andrew, as it were, in whose circles she'd mixed for years. Thus it was that Epstein and Maxwell went shooting at Sandringham. Epstein could talk science for hours, but his manners were unusual in a host. Staff on Little St. James said he only picked at food, never drank, and got up at dawn, whereas Ghislaine had her father's bombastic charisma. Leaving aside the question of whether she served as his madam, and joined in the underage sex herself, as has been alleged, she certainly oiled in the social wheels for him. No, it's not alleged. We know that she did that, all right? I'm sorry, the alleged stuff, I'm not buying it. If she wasn't guilty of this, don't you think she would be standing from every mountaintop saying that she's not guilty instead of hiding? So in Little St. James, Lord Mandelson and his boyfriend Ronaldo came to visit. Other friends included Donald Trump and Kevin Spacey. For years, the court of Jeffrey Epstein's, courtesy of Gillian Maxwell, was thriving with the power brokers, thinkers, and players. But as one who knew them both for years says, Gillian used the fact she knew other people to seduce powerful people. But it boils down to this. What exactly did these men see in this private jet, private island owning weirdo? They didn't want to play Scrabble, so what do you think? And that is exactly what it boils down to, folks. Nobody was there to play Scrabble, like I've said a million times. Nobody's there to talk about the weather. Nobody was there to socialize, all right? People were in Jeffrey Epstein's orbit because he provided them a service. He provided them girls. Now, did all of these people know these girls were underage? I don't know. But that doesn't make it any better. That does not make it any better. If you're having relations with a girl who's being trafficked in a sex ring, well, you're a piece of shit, my friend. You're a scumbag, and you need to answer questions. And hopefully, as we keep the pressure up, with Andrew being the first domino to fall, there will be questions answered by these incredibly scummy people in the future. And that's the plan, folks. Foot on the gas, all the way down, pedal to the metal, zero stopping like it's the Autobahn. We're coming for them all. Every single person named in these documents is going to have to answer hard questions, or we will not stop reporting on it until that occurs. All right, everybody. I will be back later on for the Daily Drop. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. If you would like to help support the show, you can click on the GoFundMe link inside the description box.